You might be wondering why I'm dressed like a Ghostbuster, and that is because I am at Fenland Airfield, and today I'm going to be learning tailwheel in a Chipmunk. In this video I look at the ground, we invade someone's personal space, I almost gurn my face off, and I speak to David Petters, airline pilot, instructor and display pilot as he teaches me tailwheel in a Chipmunk.
Loads of oil, that's good.
I'm now in the hangar next to the Chipmunk with David Petters, who is going to be helping me out today.
Hello. It'll be a good day of flying today. Nice weather for it, not too hot, plenty of circuits.
Throttle set about a quarter-inch open.
Quarter-inch open.
Yo, your clear prop. Press and hold that button. There she goes.
Fender Radio Whiskey Delta 292 for radio check and airport information.
Don't sound like an airline pilot on the radio there, David.
I don't.
I can hear everything you're saying.
That's
Say it, put the mic in your mouth. That's the one.
Right then, John, so 3-point landings then, as we briefed a bit earlier on. So as you're making the approach, 60 knots on final with full flap. And fly right the way down to the threshold. As we cross the threshold, depending on the weather conditions, just trickle that power back, but don't break the glide at that point. Fly us down to the runway, and you're looking to round out somewhere around about the 1 or 2 feet above the surface. And in ground effect, she floats quite nicely. And then just hold it off, and you want to attain the attitude we're in right now, the 3-point attitude as we're on the runway. It's not too dissimilar to that of a Cessna 152, when you get those nice main gear touchdowns. So you just progressively keep that stick coming back, nice and slowly, just to arrest the rate of the descent until you sit this attitude, and it should sit on all three if you've flared at the right height. Our 3-point attitude ideally meets just around about the time the aeroplane is ready to stall, a couple of knots above the stall speed. Now the things that often go wrong with it is you flare either too early and the aeroplane runs out of energy, and you've either got to decide to go around, add a touch of throttle to soften the touchdown to lower it onto the 3 points, or it just flops on, sometimes tailwheel first, which could damage the aeroplane and makes it quite an unstable touchdown as well. If you imagine landing on that 1 point at the back and the thing wants to swing around itself. And the other common mistake is driving it a bit too far down, not quite attaining the 3-point attitude. You skip off the mains, and depending on how big that bounce becomes, dictates whether you're going to go around or whether you can resettle for another 3-pointer, because you've come in basically with a bit too much energy. Right, takeoff briefing then. We'll close the canopy for that once we line up. In the event of a real emergency, I'll take control because I've got 1,000 hours on the aeroplane. So the takeoff itself, before we go then, you're going to start with a stick back at 1,000 RPM as we are now. When we're lined up, the tailwheel's straight. It'll be release the brakes, and in 3 seconds it'll be 1, 2, 3 to full power. At 4 seconds or so, we'll bring the stick to about there, and then just gently start pushing it forward to bring the tail up. Remembering it's left rudder to balance it as we do so, looking straight ahead and catching any swing. As the tail comes up to the flying attitude, it will start bouncing a bit on the oleos. Just relax that forward pressure until you get to about the neutral point, and it should lift off about 50-55 knots.
Whiskey Delta 292 rolling.
So smoothly apply that power, and it'll be left rudder, so neutralise the rudder now. 2, 3, bit of right. Catch on swing, that's where the tailwheel wasn't straight.
Yeah.
Right, you have control now, normal takeoff. Stick forward, gently forward, gently forward. Forward, 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 left rudder, that's it. There, hold that attitude, keep the left rudder going. Squeezing, that's it. And now just release that pressure on the stick gently. And fly us off gently, gently, gently. There you go. So you see how effective those controls actually are now?
Yeah, wow. Hey, we're climbing at 70?
70, yep.
Alright.
1,000 foot left-hand circuits here.
Beautiful.
That's a little fighter plane, this aeroplane, so responsive.
Whiskey Delta 292, left hand downwind 36.
I'll let you fly the turn to final, then I'll show you the landing. The easiest thing to get the idea for the 3-pointer. Reduce the power to about 1400 RPM, or descend towards 500 for the final turn. Yep, I'll tell you what, I'll talk you through the landing. You land it, and I'll talk you through it. So,
Juliet, going around, remaining
60 knots on final is what we're looking for.
Okay.
And basically, if you land it like you would your RV for a nice same wheel landing and hold the nose off, that should set your 3-point attitude quite nicely. So your speed's nicely below 70. If we can keep it below 70 now, we can have full flap whenever we like.
Whiskey Delta 292, final 36.
So just trickle that power off again, that's it. Bring the nose up just a touch. Speed below 70 and full flap. Oh wow, that's a lovely attitude. So now you're aiming for 60 knots, which you're almost there now, so we'll just let the aeroplane just sink down into that attitude. I'll help you out here, I've got a bit of slip coming in.
Yeah. Oh, you can really slip it. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Oh man,
There's
that's
no messing
awesome.
around with this aeroplane. Right, there you go, you're on profile, you have control.
I have control.
So fly for those numbers, 60 knots what you're looking for. Nicely on speed, nicely on profile. Little bit of nose down. Right, power off now. Keep the nose down. Down there, and start to round out now. Bit more. There. Hold that, that's 3 points. Stick all the way back. All the way back. All the way back. Nice, okay, go around. So left rudder, nose forward. All the power, that's it. Left rudder, left rudder, left rudder, that's it. And rotate. There you go. Nice, good first attempt, that one.
Nice.
I flew what felt like a billion more circuits, and after a while, we decided we need to break it up with something a bit different.
So without further ado, I reckon we should have a look at a loop.
Alright, you strapped?
I'm all strapped, yeah, all secure in the back. Right, so the key thing on aerobatics in the chippy and the steerman is going to be that engine RPM management.
Okay.
And if you can get used to hearing it and feeling it rather than looking at the gauge, because the steerman's gauge is broken, it doesn't work, then you'll be leagues ahead. So the chippy talks to you quite nicely, but have a glance at the gauges today just so you can pick out that tone, that 2,500 RPM note of the aeroplane. So you're aiming for full throttle, lower the nose, so a good 20 degrees nose down, aiming for 120, but as you reach 2,500 RPM, that throttle needs to trickle back. So chipmunk numbers are quite easy, 120 gets you around everything basically. If you want to do more advanced stuff, you can add another 10 knots to it, but 120 works for everything. There's 100. Right, start trickling that throttle back, there you are, holding that sound, hold that sound. There's 120, and now gently up you go, pull, that's it. And power in, all power. At that rate, now watching your wingtip, that rate, through the top, a little bit slow there. And a bit more back pressure now. There we go, that's your wake. And go again, 120, up you go. Power in, full. That rate. Rate's good, that's nice, it's a nice loop. And relax the power. Keep the ball going, keep the rate going. Throttle open.
Wow.
How was that?
Yeah, amazing.
So when we aileron roll then, we're looking at 120, pitch up so your feet are on the horizon, so kind of double where we are now.
Yeah.
A good 45 degrees nose up.
Okay.
Check with the elevators, we're not climbing or descending or not pitching up or down.
Yep.
And then all the aileron left or right. And it will roll round, it will cut below the horizon and pop back up as it finishes the roll.
Okay.
So if you'd like to have a go one straight away.
So down for 120?
Yep, down for 120, same thing with the throttle. There's your 120, smartly up to 45 degrees. Pitch, check, roll. That's a little bit of a push there, that's it, good. And see where you come out. There, nice aileron roll.
Very good.
So I do all that really by listening to the aeroplane, a quick glance at speed every so often, and altitude, but listen and feel. Point it downhill, listen to the engine, feel the controls. About 2.5 Gs for the loop.
The AI has given up.
Yeah, we're doing Aeros.
The AI has decided it does not like Aeros.
AI has left the chat. So formation flying, I'll keep in skylines as I'm sure I'm going to make it into the formation. Otherwise I could lose it in the ground clutter. Now I'm coming into my reference point. I'm going to come up into my point. Slowing the aeroplane down. Up onto the wing. And then we'll close in.
Is this the vintage pair or is the vintage pair this and the steerman?
The vintage pair is that chipmunk and John's own chipmunk. He's got his red and white one. So now I'm flying purely off his reference point. I'm looking at the tie-down ring and sticking it on the chin of the aeroplane. And keeping it there, basically.
That's very cool.
As you can hear from the engine, there's lots of all throttle movements going on.
Working it like a pinball machine.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't said that he's the lead pilot, but you guys are so familiar at this point, you know, you're looking at him, you trust him.
Absolutely. Always brief the formation, always brief your hand signals and what's going on, but John and I do hundreds of hours a year.
And this is very close, we are meters away here.
Yeah. And we're going to swap sides now.
Boxing him like a glider tug. Ah, look at that.
Next thing we'll do is brake and rejoin, we don't go too far north.
And this is mandatory in the tailwheel training, isn't it?
Oh, it's got to be, yeah, why not? Formation training, I think, should be a rating. Everyone should learn to do this properly.
But the most important rule in the formation thing is the guy at the back doesn't take their eye off the guy in the front, right?
Exactly that, yeah. I'm looking purely at his reference point. He's doing navigation radio.
I saw his hand signal there as well.
Yeah, as a turn towards us. And to do that, I'm going up, or down, power down, up, power up now as I'm cutting the circle. He's going to go the other way. That's all the power, and we come up the inside, match his bank so we don't fall off the back. It's all about relative motion. Down, power down as he rolls level. I think that will do us playing. Should we break off and go back to circuits and do the business work?
Sounds good to me. That was fun.
2's on the brake.
Here we go. Right, so moving on to the wheelers then. So not too dissimilar to a 3-pointer on the approach phase. We're still looking for about 60 knots. The caveat is don't be less than 60 knots. 60, 61 is absolutely fine. And you're aiming to drive it down to the runway and fly at 1 or 2 feet above it, straight and level. So the tail up in the flying attitude. And at that point, the power may or may not be on. You may be trickling it off. You may be adding a bit more. It's a very dynamic situation. But if you've got the energy in the aircraft, you're basically looking to lower the main wheels onto the runway as softly as you possibly can. It's all about rate of descent. Now as you touch the mains, a small check forward on the stick, just to hold the tail in the flying attitude, so overcome the momentum. And basically from there, you're looking to keep the airplane straight with your feet, and the stick progressively moves forwards just to keep the tail up in the air for as long as you can. As the airplane starts to decelerate, there's more forward stick until you get to the stop, and the tail should slowly lower itself onto the runway. And then you just have to keep it straight with your feet. Stick comes back, and hopefully come to a stop in a straight line.
First time round, David wanted to show me how wheelers work, so he had the controls.
So all this is exactly the same as your 3-point landing. So here's where it comes different. A bit of power and a bit longer. Start to trickle it off. There's my round out attitude. Now I want to hold this attitude. Just sinking onto the wheels. Sink, sink, sink. There it is. Just check that stick forward to hold the tail there. Forward. And we're rolling. And the stick keeps coming forward just to hold that attitude.
Understood.
Keeping it straight with my feet. That's the full stop there. The tail's going to fly itself down to the runway. As stick.
All the way back.
And that's it, yep.
Alright. Nice.
So you may get on better with those. I don't know. Some people do, some people don't.
Oh, we only know there's only one way to find out, right?
Absolutely. Get the mains to just brush onto the grass and check forward. Don't bury the nose, just check forward gently. If it bounces, either go around or convert it to a 3-pointer. There's no point once it's bounced trying to push it back onto a wheeler.
Final 08, Golf Romeo 3.
Right, first wheeler landing.
Hold it.
Oh,
Okay, now the 3-pointer. Just hold it, make it a 3-pointer.
Yeah.
There, lovely. Okay, go around. Almost had it.
Almost had it. Second attempt at a wheeler landing.
Yeah, it's the same again, just try and roll those mains onto the grass in a nice level attitude. Just all a case of controlling that sink in there.
Final 08, Golf Romeo 3.
So let it sink. Gently on. There. Check. Perfect. Now just keep it straight with your feet and keep that tail exactly where it is now. When you reach full forward, the tail will land itself. There she comes. Back stick. Very nice. See how much more runway that uses.
That's really, I quite like that actually.
Do some more.
All right, so I've just finished, was it 4 hours? Done 4 hours of tailwheel training.
4 hours of tailwheel training. It's been a hot and sunny day. I've been absolutely pounded by the sun in that cockpit, but it's been amazing. What is the essence of tailwheel flying?
So the essence of tailwheel flying, as we've done today, we're learning how the principles of torque and gyroscopic precession and P factor and the forces involved in the aircraft in the tail down attitude to bring the tail up and take off are actually flown. So it's keeping it straight. It's lots of use of your feet. It's bringing the airplane up to the right attitude on takeoff, the right speeds, and as you found, keeping it straight. Lots of use of your feet, basically. It's waking your legs up from a tricycle pilot to a tailwheel pilot and being on the airplane and flying it from the moment the engine starts to the moment it stops.
Is that every tailwheel plane, or is it specific to the Chipmunk? Because I mean, you were doing big movements in this aeroplane for sure.
There are big movements, very big flight controls as well, and obviously at slower speed it's less effective. The higher speed, the movements come small pressures, as you found out. But generally speaking, yes, it's most if not all tailwheel aeroplanes will have these traits because of the way they're sat. You look at the shape of the Chipmunk and where the position of the prop is when it's on the ground. It's stuck in the air. The prop disc itself is at an angle, so you've got P factor as that blade comes down and tries to swing the nose around. You've got the gyroscope, great gyroscope on the front. As you move it, wants to spin the aeroplane. So any tailwheel aeroplane that you'll bring the tail up on will have gyroscopic precession and P factor in play. So it's always a rudder input, left or right, depending which way your engine's turning.
So how many people have you brought onto a tailwheel now?
Oh, that's a good question. 5 years worth at least. So I'm into the high 30s, I think, of tailwheel students completed.
Oh wow!
So it's doing pretty well. Yeah.
Have it done.
You've done very well, actually. Yeah. So to be just under 4 hours in today, and we're pretty much there. So just a little bit of polishing off. So
a couple more things. So 3-pointers. What's the technique?
3-pointer, it's generally, if you've flown Cessna 152s, Warriors, that kind of aeroplane, it's the same flare attitude. It's bringing the nose up and stalling the aeroplane almost into that attitude, and it sits on all 3 wheels quite nicely. So it's the slowest speed touchdown, nose in the air, clearing the prop from the ground, and quite good for farm strips, grass fields, and a short landing run.
It's quite hard to get that flare out altitude because you're 1 foot, 2 foot either way. It makes a difference, doesn't it?
That's right, yeah. If you're a bit slow on the round out, you skip off the mains, you get a bit of a bounce and you have to reset everything, and it rumbles down and eventually arrives on the runway a little bit high, and it runs out of energy and just drops itself down. So yeah, getting that sweet spot for the round out. So wheeler's totally different technique.
Yeah.
That's the one that's alien to most of the tricycle world, is pushing forward on the stick. So we're aiming to come in, effectively aiming to fly straight and level down the runway, about 1 foot in the takeoff attitude, so tail up. Meet the main wheels just about on the grass or on the tarmac, and just as you feel them touch, check forward on the stick. And what that check does, it stops the aeroplane pivoting around the main wheels as the tail wants to carry on moving with momentum. And the tail carries on moving, angle of attack increases, and the aeroplane takes off again because it's a slightly faster touchdown. So the check forward on the stick then holds the tail in position, and all you do then is hold the tail there by constantly moving the stick forward as the elevator loses effectiveness, and eventually the tail comes down by itself.
And pushing that stick forward really does feel weird the first time you do it, because you think, well, yeah, I'm going to bury the propeller in the runway, but it's not bad at all, is it?
Not bad at all, no.
Once you're doing it, it feels fine.
And once you find that attitude as well, so you found it on takeoff, stick forward, and eventually it's, oh, that's too far, I don't like this, or not far enough, because you don't want to push it enough. It's get the tail up in the right attitude, and away she goes.
I've really enjoyed it, and thank you so much for doing it with me.
And good work, well done. It wasn't easy today with this blustery wind as well. So
it's been challenging on all accounts. I'm going to go and put some moisturiser on my head because I've sunburned to whatever.
It's a little greenhouse, isn't it?
It is, yeah. All right, thanks, David. Cheers.
Well done, John. Thanks a lot.